India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, the AAIB. We want to unpack the baffling questions around what actually happened.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, honestly, an incident like this, a dual-engine shutdown that close to the ground, it's exceptionally rare
Right.
and incredibly dangerous. It
Correct.
immediately tells you something highly unusual occurred.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's fascinating here is how we have to sift through the evidence, the theories. There's still a lot we don't know.
So let's start with what we do know happened in those immediate moments. The AAIB's preliminary report was pretty clear on this, wasn't it?
Extremely clear on the mechanics of it, yes.
It said, like you mentioned, June 12th, 2025, 3 seconds after takeoff, both engine fuel control switches, they just moved from run straight to cutoff.
Abruptly.
Yeah.
And the result? Instantaneous engine shutdown. Both of them.
Wow.
And, that detail about the switches, it's absolutely critical. We're not talking about just bumping something accidentally.
These things are designed not to be bumped, right?
Precisely. They have physical safety locks. Often you have to, lift a guard or pull the switch out before you can move it. It's a deliberate action.
So accidental is unlikely.
Very unlikely. And then you layer on top of that the cockpit voice recorder. Al Jazeera reported on this snippet where one pilot literally asks the other, "Why did you cut off?"
And the response?
The other pilot denies doing it, flat out denies it.
Okay, so that exchange right there, that's the core mystery, isn't it? If it wasn't accidental and neither pilot claims they did it,
Yeah.
then what?
Exactly. What happened in that cockpit?
So we have this central puzzle, but sometimes ruling things out is just as important. What did the investigators not find?
Right. And this is also key from that preliminary AAIB report. They found, quote, no evidence of mechanical faults or sabotage within the aircraft systems or fuel itself.
So the plane itself was okay. Engine checks, airframe, maintenance records, all clean.
All clean. Nothing wrong with the machine, seemingly, or the fuel.
Which is significant because usually you'd look there first, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Mechanical failure is, well, it's often the go-to initial suspect in aviation incidents. It's tangible. You can find a broken part.
Yeah.
So when you definitively rule that out early on, it forces the investigation down much more complex paths. You start looking at human factors, system interactions, things that are harder to pin down.
Okay, so if mechanical failure is off the table, where does the speculation lead? What are the main theories investigators are wrestling with?
Well, based on reports from various sources like the Times of India, First Post, The Sun, Al Jazeera, it seems to boil down to three main lines of thought.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's pilot error. Could be unintentional, maybe disorientation in a critical moment, though the switch design makes that hard to imagine accidentally. Second, and this is obviously the deeply troubling one, deliberate action. That could mean, unfortunately, pilot suicide or perhaps some form of external interference, though there's no evidence of the latter at this stage.
And the third?
The third is some kind of deep system glitch. Maybe software, maybe some sort of electrical issue that could somehow command both fuel switches to the CUTOFF position simultaneously, bypassing the physical locks or interacting with them unexpectedly.
So error, deliberate action, or system fault.
Those seem to be the core possibilities, and this raises an important question. How do investigators weigh these very different scenarios, especially with the limited data from a preliminary report? It's crucial not to jump to conclusions.
Definitely. But, the investigation itself hasn't been entirely smooth sailing, has it? There's been some criticism.
That's true. Some experts, and particularly pilot associations, have voiced concern. They feel the investigation, or at least the way the preliminary findings were presented, seem to lean towards pilot blame, perhaps too quickly.
What's their specific worry?
They feel it lacked maybe a deep enough dive into those other possibilities, especially the software or complex mechanical interaction angles. First Post highlighted this concern.
So what does that pushback tell us? Is that common in these situations?
It's not unheard of, let's put it that way. In very complex, high-profile incidents, different stakeholders might interpret early findings differently. There's immense pressure. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, there's a really critical piece of context here.
Okay.
Something reported by Barron's. Back in 2018, the FAA actually issued an advisory. It pointed out potential issues with the fuel switch locking mechanisms on both Boeing 737s and 787s, the very type of aircraft involved here.
Wait, an FAA advisory specifically about these switches?
Yes, about potential vulnerabilities in the locking mechanism design. And here's the kicker.
Air India
hadn't implemented the recommended actions from that advisory on this particular aircraft.
Wow. Okay. So if there was a known potential issue with the switch locks and Air India hadn't addressed it. How does that change things? Does that suddenly make the system glitch theory seem, well, more plausible?
It certainly complicates the narrative, doesn't it? It doesn't prove anything, of course,
Yeah.
but it introduces a known vulnerability. It suggests a potential pathway for something unusual to happen with those switches, something perhaps not purely down to pilot action, intentional or otherwise.
Right. It adds a layer that maybe wasn't getting enough attention initially, according to the critics.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if that known vulnerability could somehow interact with, say, a software command or an electrical transient in a way that wasn't anticipated. It makes the investigation far more intricate.
So where does that leave things now? What are the next steps? We know the AIB's final detailed report is still months away, right?
Correct. That final report is what everyone's waiting for, to hopefully pinpoint the cause, human factor, software, hardware, interference, whatever it might be.
And in the meantime, is everyone just waiting?
Not entirely. Cooperation continues. Boeing, GE, who made the engines, the NTSB from the U.S., they're all still involved, providing data and expertise.
And Air India took action too, didn't they, with their fleet?
Yes. Crucially, they grounded and inspected their entire 787 Dreamliner fleet as a precaution right after the incident. Barron's confirmed that all those planes were checked and have since been cleared to fly again.
Okay, so that's a key safety step.
Absolutely. Safety is the immediate priority. Grounding the fleet shows they're taking potential systemic issues seriously, even while the investigation continues. These things take time, you know. Properly investigating an incident like this is painstaking work.
Understandable.
And the findings, whatever they turn out to be, will have huge implications for safety protocols, maybe even aircraft design, certainly pilot training. It'll ripple through the industry worldwide.
So what does this all mean? Let's try and wrap this up. We've got Air India Flight 171. Engines cut out seconds after takeoff because the fuel switches moved to cutoff. That much is clear.
Crystal clear.
But the why is still murky. Was it a pilot, deliberately or accidentally, despite the safety locks? Or was it the plane itself, a software bug, an electrical fault, maybe linked to that FAA advisory that wasn't acted upon?
That remains the multi-million-dollar question.
Yeah. This whole deep dive really underscores just how incredibly complex these aviation investigations can be, especially when the early clues point in so many confusing directions.
It truly does. And thinking about all this, the denied action in the cockpit, the criticism of the early findings, and especially that 2018 FAA advisory about the switches, it makes you wonder, what do you listening to this think might be the most overlooked piece of this puzzle right now? What aspect needs the most scrutiny as we wait for that final report?
A lot to think about.
Definitely. And you can be sure as that report gets closer, more details, more layers will inevitably come to light.